Welcome back to the Chattable podcast, where we learn real English in real life, enrich vocabulary, and feel proud.
So glad to be back. And we have a really fun topic for this episode.
We really do. Today we're looking at how doing your laundry and, military aviation technology actually give us the perfect vocabulary to decode the modern world.
Yeah, it sounds like a massive leap, right? Going from washing dirty socks or flying fighter jets to, decoding news headlines.
Right, but it actually makes perfect sense once you get into it. We're basically decoding the language of deception today.
Exactly. We take these highly physical actions and turn them into metaphors. Metaphors that describe how people, hide their true intentions in finance or pop culture.
So let's just jump right into our first target sentence. It's from some recent media commentary about the financial world. Let me just read it here.
Go for it.
Kalshi and Polymarket are two prediction market platforms where anyone can make a bet on anything and make money off of it. While it is still debatable whether this business is legal or not, CNN and other news networks are flashing their names across bulletins, in effect laundering them as legitimate news predictors.
That's such a great quote.
Okay, let's unpack this. I understand the baseline concept of money laundering from, old mafia movies.
Oh, sure, the classic gangster trope.
Right. But how does that physical mechanism translate to corporate media networks and prediction markets? I need help wrapping my head around that.
Yeah, so to understand the modern application, we basically just have to look at the psychological trick the mafia was using back in, the 1920s.
Okay.
We all know laundering literally means washing dirty clothes with soap. But when figures like Al Capone were making absolute fortunes from illegal bootlegging, they had this massive paper trail problem.
Because they couldn't just deposit millions of dollars in cash at the local bank.
Exactly. The authorities would instantly ask where it came from. They needed a filter. So they took that illegal, quote-unquote, dirty cash and secretly mixed it into the daily revenues of legitimate businesses.
Businesses that handled a lot of cash anyway.
Right, like actual laundromats or car washes or pizza parlors. They used the legitimate business to basically wash the paper trail and make the profit look clean.
Wait, so in our target sentence, CNN is playing the role of the mob's pizza parlor. That feels like a massive stretch to me.
Well, it's a metaphor, so...
CNN isn't intentionally helping these platforms commit financial crimes. Are you saying the network is actively complicit here?
No, definitely not. They're likely just a naive tool being used by the betting markets. And that is where the concept evolves from money laundering to reputation laundering.
Reputation laundering, okay.
Yeah. What's fascinating here is that the currency being washed is no longer physical cash. It's public perception. It's trust.
Oh, wow.
CNN doesn't have a malicious intent. They just want, engaging real-time data graphics for their election coverage. But the actual effect is reputation laundering for those betting platforms.
I see the mechanics of it, but why does it actually work on the viewer? If I already know Polymarket is a betting site, seeing it on CNN shouldn't magically change my mind about them?
You'd think so, but it works because it exploits this psychological shortcut we all have, known as the halo effect.
The halo effect.
Yeah. Our brains are lazy, they want to conserve energy, so we rely on established associations. When you see the CNN logo, your brain unconsciously associates it with decades of vetted journalism and fact-checking.
Right, there's a built-in trust factor there.
Exactly. So by placing a highly controversial, maybe legally ambiguous betting market directly next to that trusted logo, your brain transfers the network's credibility onto the platform.
So it basically just bypasses our critical thinking entirely.
Completely bypasses it. To the viewer at home, the platform no longer looks like a shady gambling site. It looks like a legitimate, trustworthy civic tool.
Because the controversy is washed away by the credibility of the network. That is wild.
It really is.
And this gives us a totally different lens to view the Sam Bankman-Fried scandal. He's actually featured in our sources as a masterclass in this exact tactic.
Oh, absolutely. He was the poster child for it.
Right, because before his crypto empire completely collapsed into fraud, he was aggressively funding political campaigns. He was sharing prestigious panel stages with massive global figures, including former President Bill Clinton.
Yeah, that was a highly symbiotic reputation laundering operation. Politicians and legacy institutions wanted his massive financial donations, obviously.
And in exchange, Bankman-Fried got to stand next to them and look respectable.
Exactly. By associating with traditional statesmen and established charities, he painted his incredibly risky, unregulated offshore crypto exchange with this veneer of traditional safe banking.
Let me stop you there, though, because I really want to challenge where we draw the line on this.
Okay.
It's super easy to label a convicted fraudster as a reputation launderer, but let's apply this to, like, a corporate PR crisis.
Right. What's the scenario?
Say a major tech company gets exposed for having just a horrific, toxic workplace culture. So in response, the board steps in, they fire all the abusive managers, they implement a huge structural pay raise, and issue a detailed public apology.
Yeah.
Now, a cynical person might call that reputation laundering, but I'd argue it isn't.
You would be absolutely right. That scenario is not reputation laundering at all.
Because the core definition of the idiom requires deception, right? I mean, the mafia didn't stop committing crimes, they just hid the origin of the money.
Exactly. And Bankman-Fried didn't fix the gaping hole in his balance sheet. He just stood next to a former president to distract everybody.
Right. So if a company genuinely does the hard work of restructuring its culture and fixing the actual problem, that is actual change. It's not a cover-up.
Yeah. The difficulty, of course, is that in real time, genuine change and reputation laundering look identical in a corporate press release.
Oh, for sure. They use the exact same buzzwords.
Right. The distinguishing factor is always intent. And often, we only find out what the real intent was years later. Like, are we witnessing a genuine improvement, or are we just watching a very expensive public relations cleaning cycle?
That's such a good point. And having this vocabulary gives you the tool to ask that specific, skeptical question when you read the news.
Exactly.
Also, just a quick boundary check for our listeners. Remember that metaphorically, you launder money and you launder reputations.
Right.
But physically, you only launder fabric.
That is a very important distinction.
Yeah, you cannot launder a physical object like a house or a car. You wash a car. If you tell your neighbor you are going to, launder your sedan, they're going to assume you're running a criminal syndicate out of your garage.
Right, they'll be calling the FBI. It's a crucial distinction for conversational English.
So laundering is essentially this art of hiding your true nature while standing directly in the spotlight. You want to be seen, but you want to fiercely control how you are perceived.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what if the strategy isn't to manipulate the spotlight, but to completely evade it?
Right.
That requires a totally different approach, and it's one that language literally stole from military aviation.
This brings us perfectly to the concept of flying under the radar.
Yes.
I have our next target sentence right here. Let me read it. One of the greatest mysteries in the modern age is that the identity of Bitcoin creator Satoshi Nakamoto has been under the radar for years. A New York Times reporter recently has exposed that mysterious person's name and story.
Such a great example.
Right. And here's where it gets really interesting. I think most people vaguely know what a radar is, but the actual geometry behind this phrase explains why it is such a powerful metaphor for secrecy.
Yeah, the physics here are absolutely vital. So radar actually stands for radio detection and ranging. Militaries use it to detect incoming aircraft by sending out these massive sweeps of radio waves.
Right, and if the wave hits a plane, it bounces back.
Exactly. The waves strike a physical object in the sky, bounce back to the receiver, and a blip registers on the screen. But there is a massive physical limitation to this entire system.
Which is?
Radar waves travel in a perfectly straight line.
And the Earth is curved.
Precisely. Because the Earth's surface curves downward and the radar waves shoot straight out horizontally, it creates a geometrical gap.
Oh, like a blind spot.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. There's a pocket of invisible airspace very close to the ground, operating entirely beneath the sweeping path of those straight radio waves.
So if a military pilot wants to breach enemy territory undetected, they execute this highly dangerous maneuver where they literally skim the jet just above the Earth's surface.
Right. It's incredibly risky, but it works.
Because the waves just shoot harmlessly over the top of the aircraft, they never make contact, they never bounce back, and the plane remains entirely invisible to the enemy screens. It's just a brilliant physical exploit.
It really is. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the modern metaphorical usage captures that exact same dynamic. Well, to fly under the radar means to exist quietly. You are intentionally avoiding public attention and operating entirely beneath the sweeping gaze of authorities, the media, or the general public.
Which makes the Satoshi Nakamoto example incredibly profound when you think about it.
Oh, totally.
We live in an era defined by inescapable digital footprints. I mean, we're constantly tracked by algorithms, social media, data brokers, and the global media was aggressively searching for the creator of Bitcoin.
Yeah, they were constantly sending out their investigative radar waves trying to get a hit.
Exactly. So for a single human being to stay in that blind spot for years, successfully evading the attention of the entire global financial press, that requires an immense active effort. It isn't just about being quiet. It's about deliberately maneuvering to avoid detection.
Yes, that active maneuvering is the key here. You use this idiom to describe intentional secrecy. But, it's also frequently used to describe someone who is exceptionally talented, but just hasn't caught the attention of the mainstream industry yet.
Oh, like a brilliant local chef before the Michelin critics actually find them.
Exactly. Or an indie tech startup that's quietly building revolutionary software before doing any press tours.
Actually, our sources highlight a massive celebrity who utilized this exact strategy. The actor Cillian Murphy, well before he won his Oscar for Oppenheimer.
Yeah, it's a fascinating PR strategy, mostly because it is the complete inverse of what actors are supposed to do.
Right. The whole Hollywood machine is designed to force you onto the radar. They want you to be the biggest blip on the screen.
But Murphy spent years intentionally flying beneath it. He chose to live in Ireland, which geographically removed him from the industry's epicenter. And he famously avoided flashy celebrity parties, talk show circuits, and all those traditional promotional campaigns.
I love that example so much because it proves that flying under the radar isn't inherently suspicious or illegal.
Right, it doesn't always mean you're a criminal.
Exactly. We often associate secrecy with bad actors, but for Cillian Murphy, it was a protective measure. The Hollywood spotlight was sweeping aggressively over the industry, and he just stayed safely below it to protect his peace and focus entirely on his craft.
It really takes discipline to turn down lucrative, attention-grabbing deals just to maintain your privacy.
Yeah.
But we do actually need to address a common pitfall with this phrase.
Oh, what's that?
It is frequently misused when people confuse evading attention with simply being physically hidden.
Absolutely. Let's draw that line clearly for the listener. Because if you lose your car keys and after tearing your apartment apart, you finally find them jammed underneath the living room couch, your keys were not under the radar.
No, they were just under the furniture.
Right. The idiom specifically implies evading detection by a system or a group of people who are actively looking. It requires a conceptual sweep of attention that you are actively ducking under.
There's also a major contradiction of scale to watch out for here.
Yep.
You fundamentally cannot apply this phrase to massive public spectacles.
That makes sense because the literal purpose of a spectacle is to be seen. You cannot say the Super Bowl halftime show really flew under the radar this year.
Right, or that a politician's massive, flashy stadium rally was totally under the radar. It just sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, if an event is designed to be loud, proud, and highly visible, it fundamentally breaks the metaphor. Being under the radar requires a low profile, a lack of flash, and an intentional quietness.
It's the deliberate avoidance of the spotlight, which is why it contrasts so beautifully with reputation laundering, actually.
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah, one is about standing right in the light, projecting a fake shadow, and the other is about refusing to step into the light at all.
That is a perfect way to synthesize the two concepts. As we wrap up this episode, it's amazing to step back and look at what we've actually uncovered today.
It really is.
We've taken the financial trickery of 1920s mafia syndicates and the geographical physics of military jet blind spots, and we've turned them into essential tools for cultural literacy.
And that is the true value of mastering these idioms. They don't just make you sound more fluent in conversational English. They actually give you a highly precise set of analytical tools.
Exactly.
When you understand what reputation laundering is, you basically become immune to the halo effect. You can instantly spot when a controversial company is trying to borrow credibility from a legacy institution.
And when you understand what it means to be under the radar, you start to look for the quiet, hidden forces shaping our world, whether that's a mysterious tech founder or just a brilliant artist honing their craft in private. You stop just passively reading the news and you start decoding it. You see the architectural mechanics behind the headlines. But before we sign off today, I know you had a lingering thought about the evolution of these phrases that really twist the perspective.
I do, yeah, and it's something I really want the listener to mull over. We spent this entire episode looking backward. We're mining 20th century aviation tech and Prohibition-era mafia tactics to find the words we use to describe human behavior today. But language never stops moving. So think about the hyper-connected algorithmic world we live in right now. What specific technologies from our current era will become the abstract metaphors of tomorrow?
Oh, that's fascinating.
Like 50 years from now, Will we describe a politician changing their platform as rebooting their algorithm? Will the act of slowly fading out of a friendship be known as encrypting the relationship?
Wow.
The digital tools we use every single day are actively planting the seeds for the idioms the next generation will use to describe the human condition.
That is a staggering thought. We are currently living inside the literal actions that will become the metaphors of the 22nd century. Well, that brings us to the end of our time today. Keep your eyes peeled for those reputation launderers borrowing credibility in the headlines. And remember that sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to deliberately fly under the radar. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Chattable podcast. We will catch you next time.